Item number 6 is approval of USDA extension of free meals for all students.
We talked about this one last month, and the history behind it was a question that Mr. Como phrased to me. When did we start agree to do free lunches this year? And it was one of those quick response administrative things where we just felt like we needed to make a call. So I made a note at that point to bring it back if it did, if 21-22 was part of the conversation. So we're here to answer any questions you have, but it's really a larger topic of, when do you revert back to free and reduced as we've done it historically. One thing, I did have a conversation with Sarah Hine, I believe it is, with the Christmas Clearing Council, and I included her email to me. I had a phone conversation with her as well. She actually wanted to be here tonight, but I think she has 4 kids, and they're all in youth sports, so she's probably getting rained out right now. But she wasn't able to make it. But I thought her email provided an interesting perspective, and one that I wouldn't have thought a charitable group like this would have had. So I thought it was worth including. I guess administratively, we really don't have a horse in this race. We don't have a recommendation for you on this. And I would guess that if we say no, we might be the only one in Waukesha County or the area that does it, or not. But I think it's important to point out that the most needy students under either selection you would make, there is a system that is there for them to access. We've had some conversations in our office that, our fear is that people will stop filling out the free and reduced, and when we do convert back free and reduced paperwork, there might be you kind of classical condition yourself to fill it out, and then you get out of the habit for a couple of years. Is that a huge thing? I don't know, but those are just some of the factors that we are thinking about as well. So,
and that we did poll 8 of the local districts, and 4 of them were willing to share what they're doing. I don't feel right to be sharing their names and what they're doing, but I did print out if you're interested to see what people
are doing. All right, any questions? Mr. Como?
Yeah, were those board decisions or were those administrative decisions, the ones that you're passing around now? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just because I know acronyms were an issue last month, the SSO is the seamless summer option, which is the completely free, and the NSP and NSL, National School Lunch Program, is the paid reduced free model.
So Sherry, what does off program mean at high school?
Off program means that at the high school level, that particular school does not participate in the National School Lunch Program. It's a school with a wealthier population, and every family pays. Well, that's not true. Every family would pay. They don't get reimbursement, and they can offer anything they want. They don't have to follow all the USDA guidelines for healthy meals. This particular school does still take applications for their middle and their high school students, and they provide free meals on the district if a student can't afford it.
How does the free and reduced work there then? Because they have free and reduced.
They do, but they pay for it out of the district. A Fund 10 general fund transfer goes to fund the food service to pay for it. They do not get any. I talked to the food service manager. They do not get any federal reimbursement money at that level.
At the high school level.
But they're free to do whatever they want then.
And what's the benefit for that? That they're free to do whatever they want?
That's the benefit.
The benefit.
And I'm a guess. I don't know their budget, but I would guess that they're assuming that by being able to do what you want, you're increasing sales.
Yeah.
Compared to
oh, I'm sure, for sure.
Following all the rules, but I don't know that. But I know we talked about it when I was in McGuanago because the rules get so tedious that but there's math behind that. If you're higher socioeconomic, it's a tougher tougher sell.
Right.
But where that percentage falls to break even, I have no
They,
idea.
I can't remember the statistic, but it was under 10% free and reduced population at that particular
Yeah, it's
school,
low.
which is very low.
Yeah.
And their meals average $4.50 a meal
Yeah.
for students, which the families in that area are willing and able to pay for that.
Rancher.
Question, your original question, the SSO, you were asking what that stood for?
No, I want to know what off-program at high school meant. The bottom one.
Very last school. They
I want to know what that looked like. I mean, they're funding it themselves.
They do participate at the elementary and middle school, I believe it was, yes, elementary and middle school in the National School Lunch Program. It's just at the high school that they wanted to have different options that their families were looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know we talked about this quite a bit at our last meeting, and the whole idea of there's no such thing as literally a free lunch. It's coming from somewhere, some taxpayers. I agree with that. But I'm looking at more of our students. Is this going to somehow damage our students if we keep it, or hurt our students, or somehow potentially hurt a few students if we get rid of it? I don't see it could possibly hurt our students if we keep it. I understand the tax argument. I don't necessarily disagree with it, but yeah, I support keeping it in place. I understand the Christmas clearinghouse concern, but it sounds like that's something, if it would affect people, would be a far fewer amount, and they might be better suited to try to remind people to reapply and do things like that. But I just don't see a benefit in getting rid of this at this point. I don't know, unless I'm missing something, but.
This is Ranchak.
Out of all of these districts, are we the highest free and reduced lunch?
I don't have that information.
I would guess that's
Percentage-wise?
the case, on a percentage basis. So,
Which means we have the greatest need for it.
well, we have the greatest need for
Well,
some sort of assistance program. This
not
is
for
just a
free lunch
matter
for
of
all.
choosing what assistance program. Because keep in mind, we still would have free and reduced lunch, and without this program. But yes, I would say our community is more needy than the other. These are all Waukesha County districts.
Mr. Como.
So do we feel the people that apply, let's pre-COVID, people that apply for free and reduced lunch, do we feel we've been reaching the majority of people who need that?
COVID?
Yeah. I mean, or are we just not doing a good job reaching those people? Because for me, if we're doing a good job reaching those families in need, I don't know if we need to have free lunches for everyone.
And say that our lunch participation is very successful with the free and reduced population. Our breakfast program is not as successful with most of our population. And there does seem to be some sort of a stigma to breakfast being for those students that are free and reduced. But we have a couple elementaries that their free and reduced percentage is high enough that they have universal free breakfast anyways. That wouldn't go away. We've offered that for the past several years now to those students.
I lose track, but
those
yeah.
are there's 3 schools, and those are our neediest populations at the, or the most at-risk populations, and they would still get their free breakfast. But
So I just want to go back to your statement on stigma attached to breakfast, but there isn't one to lunch. I'm just trying to understand.
breakfast, you generally have
That.
to get there early because you get breakfast before school starts. Whereas
Oh, so it
lunch,
can be
you're
used
already
as an
there and
identifier?
everybody's eating lunch, so you don't really know. But the students that show up early to get breakfast, it's a conception that's out there, a perception that's out there that the students that come early for breakfast are coming because.
Yes. Jess, go. What do you got? Something good?
I just wanted to answer the question. know about, are we reaching the people that we need to reach? I do process all the applications, and then I talk to the teachers and the social workers at the schools when a kid does have a large balance. And those are the kids that it's sometimes hard to get the application. The kids that already qualify for the SNAP program automatically get free lunch.
Right.
It's the kids that are right on that border.
Yep.
And I've had numerous conversations of, please send this application home and get it back to me so I can process it. And that sometimes takes a while.
It's interesting, though. We deal with families who are adamant that they don't want the free lunch. I mean, it runs the, I don't know if it's the political spectrum or what it is, but we deal with a wide range of, are we reaching everybody? We're certainly reaching everyone who's proactive enough to fill out the paperwork.
Right.
And we do have an online application we introduced. Has it been 2 years now, like the year before COVID? And that makes it very comfortable for the people. They can sit in their own home and fill it out. They don't have to come in, drop off an application. They don't have to send it in a backpack with their child. So it's very private, it's a good system.
All right, any other discussion? Oh, Corey,
Sorry.
Yes, no, that's all right.
I'm here now.
I didn't
So.
see it. Not ignoring you.
No, it's fine. Maybe Jess, I don't know if you mind answering this or if you're able to. My worry, hypothetically, is there's a student that's not getting lunches or he's running up a balance, that parents just ignore all efforts to apply. Have we seen that, or is that something that is?
We have seen kids that don't eat.
Okay.
They constantly go to the health room to get whatever snacks the health room might provide.
Yeah.
A lot of times I then get the phone call of, can you tell me if this kid qualifies? Most times it's a no. Okay. Occasionally it's a yes, but most times it's a no, or I don't have an application to determine that. That's the most popular answer.
What do we do at that point? Is there anything to do?
We really we encourage the family to fill out the application so that we can get the kid free lunch. But until we get that application back,
okay,
it's the health room person with their fruit bars.
Does that eventually turn into some sort of CPS referral, or?
I don't know that.
Don't know. Okay. All right. I'm not trying to put you in the spot. I was just curious. Okay.
Can I clarify one thing, and that is for any student at the elementary level, and I can't remember if we do middle school or not, I would have to look at that. We don't turn away kids. They get a different meal, a cheese sandwich meal, but it's a full meal that it's got a vegetable and a milk with it. And it's a lower cost meal to the parent. We don't keep an elementary student from eating at all. And I'm sorry, I think we also do that at middle school. I think it's just high school where there's a cutoff.
Thank you.
Mr. Como.
So I'm trying to make sure I understood what you just said. You believe every student is fed that needs to be fed? Or are there still some students that Jess was talking about that aren't being fed properly? And roughly how are we talking? 2 or are we talking 200? I have no sense of how many calls you guys process and how many applications you process. I have no sense of that.
Number of students getting the cheese sandwich meals is very low because it's a big incentive.
2, 10, 50, 1,000? What's low?
What frame are we talking about? For a year?
I'm just trying to get a whatever perspective you can.
Across the elementary schools, maybe 10 students at any given time, not even at any given time, probably throughout the whole, it's a very small amount. Usually once the child gets on gets the cheese sandwich, the parent will pay, bring their balance up. And we're always willing to work with them on if they've accumulated a big balance. I've worked with payment plans with people to say, if you can give us this much per month, per week, whatever you can do, we're going to still allow your child to eat. And our goal is not to not feed children. So we're very flexible, but it is a minuscule amount of students that are getting that cheese sandwich. And I mean, seriously, on any given day, there's probably 4 cheese sandwiches served across the elementary.
Okay, that helps put it in perspective. And we then try to work with those families to bring them on board to the free and
We
reduced.
put the same effort, maybe even more on food service, but we put the same effort into this as we do student fees and making sure people go through graduation. And I mean, it's the same processes in a lot of times, I think, that we try to work. The key is getting the families engaged, and I think that's a good thing, but that's a needed part of all this.
So it's just like anything else. As we get back to what everyone believes is normal, we have decisions to make. What does normal mean, and when is it normal? Is this part of normalization? I would say this is part of normalization, going back to our free and reduced lunch program as opposed to feeding everyone. So I guess, I'm going to try and take a look at, what do other decisions look like, in our district as we start to move forward into next year. And I guess I just need to have a sense of if there's some kids that we're just missing. If we went back to free and reduced lunch program, now's the time to be telling me, ooh, there's a bunch. But what I've heard is we're covering the families pretty well, and we have stopgaps in place, cheese sandwich and some other things in place to help those kids. So I guess my comfort level is pretty high going back to the free and reduced lunch if it's a pretty low impact. If it's a high impact, though, on many families, then it's like now's the time that we need to know that. So I guess from what I've heard so far, I would be comfortable going back to the free and reduced lunch program.
Mr. Montiel.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I understand. If we go back to free and reduced, does that cease the food distribution during the summer? I think last summer we had free lunches.
Oh, we're in the summer.
We're continuing the summer through August 31st, or till when school comes back. So we will be doing that. We have 2 different programs. During the whole summer, we'll have 4 different pickup sites that people can go weekly and pick up. During summer school, we will provide meals to the students in the schools other than Summit View and Saratoga.
Regardless of this decision. Okay, thank you.
The only thing with this decision, we won't be, with the seamless summer options, we can do the community pickups, which we've been doing all year long. The participation in that during the school year is extremely low. Like West gets maybe 10 people a week that come. I think North is the highest with maybe 90 people that come for that. So that's a very low percentage, and if the students are in our school, they're going to be covered by the National School Lunch Program. It's just the community people that are picking up meals, maybe if they're homeschooled or they are open and enrolled out and virtual for some reason.
Any other questions? Beats.
What are the plans for your communication regardless of how this goes? If it does revert back.
All along, what we've done with communication is we create an English and a Spanish version of our communication. We work through Mary Jo King to have it sent to all families, and we give the schools the information too, so that they have it. It's posted on social media. It's on the website as far as what meal program we're in at the moment, because there's been a lot of changes.
So that information would go out in a timely manner?
Absolutely. Because we want people getting their applications in August so that there's a seamless transition into fall without anybody. Now, there is always a 6-week carryover period, and what I understand is they're going to allow that carryover period from the year before. So if they were free and reduced to 1920, they're going to be able to have that carryover period, 6-week carryover period going into this year, because they understand that a lot of people didn't apply this year. And so to help keep those people from falling through the cracks until we can make sure they're really getting their applications in, there will be that carryover.
And would that include then a student who wasn't in school at that time but would be in school now? Is it more of a family application, right?
Correct.
Yes,
so
okay.
if they had, let's say, a kindergartner coming in that wasn't on the plan in 1920, they would be covered because the family had the carryover.
Mr. Mr. Como?
So when do we have to decide by? The federal government? We have to notify the federal government, and how do we notify them that we've accepted the SSO or not? And if we don't accept the SSO, do we automatically revert back to free and reduced? How's that technically work?
We have a contract that we have to fill out. Normally it's by June 30th. They have upped it. I actually have to let them know by Friday. We either have to fill out an application for the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program, or we fill out an application for the Seamless Summer option. And it's the same, because Seamless Summer is tied to the National School Lunch Program, it's the same contract, but with an indication that we're going the Seamless Summer. Would they let us change our mind? I'm sure they would. So I'm sure if things changed or anything, we could switch back and forth at any point in time. But I do need to let them know. We need to fill out our contract this week.
Oh, so if we did start out with the National School Lunch Program, going back to the traditional free and reduced lunch that we've been doing, and we see that we found a major gap, and we had an issue, we might be able to change then? Did I just hear you say that?
I believe we can, but I would like to double check that. I can have Darren send that information out before the board meeting.
Because that's a pretty big safety net. And, Greg, you asked a few questions where there was another safety net of the weeks, the overlap. So
this is new because Seamless Summer option isn't generally offered during the school year, but they have been very flexible with the summer food service program, which is what we have been operating on. They've been very flexible about end dates, start dates, switching if you wanted to. So I don't expect that they would hold us to it, but I will confirm that with my contacts. Get that information out.
Okay, Mr. Montiel.
Sorry, one last question. I think I heard you say if a family was approved for free and reduced in 1920, they're automatically approved for this, or for 21.
Yes.
I'm screwing up my years.
So
Our whole office is having issues with 22. It's a funny thing.
Yeah.
For 1920, our last partially normal year, if we call it that.
2020. Not 1920.
19.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
2019, 2020.
You missed a year in there.
I was just
They will be
supporting
allowed a
Corey.
6-week carryover. So they'll have 6 weeks into the school year to get their applications in.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Just does a great job of sending out reminders to people, because we look at that saying, this person's going to lose their carryover, and we send individual communications to people to say, if you think you qualify, please, fill out your application, because your carryover is ending on October, whatever the date falls.
So we'd have plenty of time to do all that, let them know there's application online, have a fallback program in case you identify a huge need.
We do that every normal school
process,
year.
right?
It's the old process. We do it every school year because we always have people that forget or whatever, because they're used to the carryover.
Right.
And our process is better. I mean, we have a set schedule of correspondence. I mean, it's pretty regimented now, or before.
That alleviates, I'm sorry.
Before it was just not as structured as people are hopefully getting more used to filling out the paperwork and seeing the correspondences. And seems to be improving.
That it alleviates my concerns, and I've changed my mind. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, our administrative team has never let a large amount of kids fall between the cracks, and it's not going to happen next year. So I think that anybody that's concerned about it, their concerns are not needed, to tell you the truth. We have a great staff, and they work very hard to make sure that every child gets a meal, and that is not going to change whether or not we approve this or not. Yes, Mrs.
We also have at several of the schools, like local churches, that help provide money that if a family is just struggling and doesn't qualify because they've just had a short-term issue, that they cover meal balances and things. One of our schools, the teachers for Christmas one year all chipped in and covered the entire negative balances at that school.
We've even had, I don't know if it was random citizens, but people come
have
in and
had
say,
people
here's
pay 'em off.
$25.
Yeah.
Apply it to, and I don't know how Jess even goes about doing that, but apply it to people who have balance. I mean, it's just kind of a neat community. We should actually track it more and celebrate it a little more than we.
Yeah, I was going to say we do track what we're carrying
But
over.
it's really cool.
Seniors, when seniors have balances at the end of every year, we send them a letter, an email saying, do you want your money back? Would you like us to apply it to a school fee, a sibling, or would you like to donate it to a student in need? And we get a fair amount now that want to donate it to students in need. I had just one more quick thing.
Yep.
When we talked about the Christmas Clearing Council and other charities using that information, I just want to make it clear that any outside organization that wants to use our free and reduced information has to get a waiver signed by the parent and provide that to us before we release that information. Right. We keep that information very confidential within the district unless the parent provides a waiver. Right. So I just want to be clear on that.
Cool.
Yeah, I think my comfort level is high returning to the National School Lunch Program and the school breakfast program, in that we do have some safety nets set up in place if we potentially need to change over to the SSO program. I would appreciate if you could find that out for us for sure to be a fact. But with that said, I would move approval for the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program for the 2021-2022 school year.
Okay. So everybody realizes, and I vote, we'll extend the program because we're moving for approval. You move for approval.
No, I'm
different motion.
I moved to go back to the old way.
So you're not going to use the motion that we have here? No. Okay. I just want to make sure.
I'll second.
Okay. So
an I vote would go back to the way
we would switch,
we used
and no
to.
vote would.
Yes.
Yes. Alrighty. Are we ready to vote? All those, no more questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.